And welcome to bex-treks, and on this one I've got the Lansham, which is a silicon coated tent and it needs sealing, so I've got a silicone sealer. There's only about 4 seams and the perimeter done. Now there are lots of videos showing you how to do this and none of them I've seen are particularly neat, so let's see if we can make a very neat job of this. First of all, you can only use a silicone sealant on a silicon coated tent. Silicone to silicone, nothing else will do. This is 28 grams. Let's have a look how big that is in relation to my middle finger there. You'll see a lot of people using these stippled brushes, very firm. I wouldn't bother. If you're going to use a brush, use an artist's brush. Stipple brush, throw it, no good. I can decant this into here. There's no need to dilute it, so I'm going to pitch it and get it taut. Take the lid off. You'll find there's a piercing nozzle and we can open it up, and I'm going to start off with about 2, maybe 3 mil, that's all. I'm not going to do anywhere too important because I'm going to start off with a brush just to demonstrate. I'm going to start off down the bottom here. This bit never needs seam sealing, but I do keep my shoes under these flies. Nozzle facing up. Now just watch. Very, very small amount. I'm going to take my time. And in that goes, and pull back on the plunger, get this and start brushing ever so gently. Now what this is doing is making a lap on either side, which I don't really want to do. Don't like it. It makes it quite messy. But I'm going to put about maybe 3 mil lap on either side. And look how I'm taking my time. I'm giving myself about an hour to do this. Anything less than an hour, bonus. Okay, now I said there's nothing wrong with using your finger. I know people wear gloves for this, but you can just use your finger and it's a hell of a lot neater than the brush. There. I haven't gone over more than 2 mil either side. So little and so slow. Make sure it's a continuous bead. I want to pause and join it up to that. I could leave it at that, that's fine. Like I said, don't worry if you haven't got a brush. There is the neatest brush in the world, your finger. It really does apply it exactly where it's needed. And not too thick. It gives an even space, one side to the other. I could do the whole tent with these brushes here. I've seen people wear gloves and I'm thinking, no, use your fingers, it is neater. So if you do want an overlap, that is how it's going to look. I'm going to start at the front top and use the door fabric to pull this apart to reveal the stitches like that. And some tissue there if it's needed. Now I'm going to do about maybe 12 inches at a time, and I am moving so slowly with this. Now this is an open seam. Some you'll have a folded hem and they are going to be a bugger. Now I do not need a brush at all with this. I don't even need to rub it in. I just work down the seam. Okay, I'm just going to do the crown first. Probably I won't be brushing this. I'm just going to let it set as it is. Could actually repair a hole in an air pad with this stuff without a patch. Now I can reach the nozzle underneath this flap of material. Okay, first bit of the crown of the tent done. Now I have my seam there. Just roll my finger over it. But this is the crown, so it is having the thickest bit, and I've gone over each side of that hemmed crown there about, well, maybe 3-4 mil, as where this down here doesn't need it. But the rest of the tent, I'm only going to use the plunger, and I'm not even going to rub it in. Of course, you don't have to use a brush. So little is needed. But this bit, very neat. Make sure the nozzle's facing up, and such a small amount. And I am not going to rub this bit in if I can help it. Just going to seal the stitch holes. Make sure the nozzle's facing up. The idea is not to get too much. It's such a thin bead, I am literally only filling the gap where the stitches are, and there's hardly any overlap at all. The key is patience, taking your time. Once you get a flow going, you can build up a bit of speed. Not worth it though, just take time. Let's have a look at it. No brush needed. Maybe just to tidy up and nothing else. Nothing else. I haven't got a 1/2 inch overlap either side. And if you think about it, think how small a needle is to push the thread through fabric. Why would you want to go 1/2 inch either side of this hem? I only put where it's needed, which is in stitch holes. So nozzle facing up, thinnest bead all the way down, and with the hook of the syringe, the back edge, now I can rub it in with the back edge of the actual syringe and repeat. Come down a bit more, and with the hook of the syringe facing up, apply the bead very, very thin. All I'm doing is filling that gap all the way down. Bring that nozzle back, and with the hook, just gently right down like that. No brush required, not even a finger, just the tool we're using right now. I've applied that much. Get the hook and run the hook down the seam. And just get the nozzle right under that. Same thing, get the back of the syringe and run it right inside like that. Get the back, run it down, and ideally I shouldn't have any sealant on the right hand side here. I've still got way more than half a tube, and I'm way more than half the way through the project. Now, little tip for you, roll these tubes from the bottom like that. You'll know exactly how much you got. So I've just got one more on this hem here, that perimeter, back end perimeter and the zip. If I open up my shelter, I can stand where I need to be. Now I'm starting at the crown, working my way down to the air vent. This will give you an idea of just how slowly I'm dropping the bead onto this hem. It is such thin bead, it really doesn't need to be that thick, guys. You don't even need to overlap. Okay, that is about maybe a foot. Get the hook of my applicator, run the hook either up or down, right in that seam. See, God, it's so neat. Happy with that. Such a lovely job, much better than the brush. As simple as that. I don't even need to wipe this applicator down really, or have tissue to wipe the tent like you see other people constantly wanting to wipe the tent down with tissue. It's just not needed. The applicator will do it all for you. If you're a clean freak, some of that would drive you absolutely crazy. So let's go and wet this up and wipe down where I've accidentally got some spill. Similar to a naphtha or Coleman's fuel, I use Aspen 4. I've come back to it, I can't even see it, so it can't be that bad. There it is, I spy you. There. I'm at the bit here now where the elastic that holds the door. I'm taking my time applying it just so the hook doesn't keep jumping out of the seam, and that's where I have to wipe. If I just slow my game down a bit, like now, it won't keep jumping out of the seam. Okay, let's bring that back, bring the hook in, and up we go. It is pushing all that seam sealant right where it needs to be, no more, no less. Okay, I would like to play with this a little bit more, but the more I play with it, it's going to get messier. Lovely, love it, love it, love it, love it. Love it to bits. Okay. Seam zip. It's a double row. You should start at the top, but it's just easier to film. I am going to go in between double stitching. Most of what you're seeing has only got one stitch. So I can just go straight down. I don't touch the stitches, I only go up with the brush. It will automatically work its way into these stitches. So if you do have to use a brush, a lot of people want to seem to start their sealant on each side, and it just splurts over to about that wide and that wide, which is about 1.5 inches here. But as you can see, that's about 1/2 mil. I use the brush to rub it into the stitch, and there is no need to get so much of this stuff either side onto the tent. That is super neat. Again, remember, only fill out between the stitching and then feather it out with a very soft brush. Now I want to give it a good 8 to 12 hours, although I'll be leaving this out overnight. Nice sunny day, got good weather. Should dry pretty quick. Here is the single bead down the zip. I've gone right between the two seams with a very soft brush. Very neat. Now these syringes, kind of a one-off deal. Once you've had sill inside that, it'll clog up. They're not very dear to replace. That needs chucking. What if you haven't got one of these? Try something like this, which is an eyedropper bottle. You can put 5 mil in there. It's enough to get you started. I think it's 3 mil low. You take this off, fill it up. That's going to get chucked. That's a one-off deal. Not very expensive. Let's test out the waterproofing. I'm going to start on the crown here. Like I said, it will give the tent a chance to shrink a little as well. I mean, that's quite a lot of water. It's not the same as it raining all night. It's the best I can do until it does. And if there's any other leaks while I'm out camping, obviously I'll know exactly where the leak is. So easy just to put a little bead and fix it. It's not a big deal. This is the bit you would be worried about the most, is the bit without the overlap, but I am really not concerned at all. I know it is right in all the stitches. And now I'll go all around the bottom perimeter edges. It's not a brilliant rain test. I would have to wait for actual rain for it to be successful. But we are officially in spring at the time of recording. There's going to be little chance of a great downpour. But this tent is the winter version of the Pro. Have a quick look inside. There's no obvious pooling, especially in the corners where the strengthening patches are, which is good. I just noticed there's a tiniest bit of damp just here. So if I follow this up, it is either coming from the patch or somewhere up there on the crown. I don't think it's coming from there. I think it's coming from the pull out there. The only way I can tell, more water to the crown. All in all, very, very impressed. So I want to thank you for joining me on this episode. Thanks for staying till the end, and until next time, take care of yourself and we'll see you out there. Happy trials.